got a ton going on this episode, and I think we should get to it right away. So thank you very much for joining us with Sleeping Bag Studios and SBS Live this week. Let's get to music and interviews by Man-Made Lake. We've got Carrie Jane, and of course we've got pop star Chelsea-Lyne, all brought to you and arranged by James Casper on the island of the Vancouver Island Music Awards. So once again, thank you very much for being with us this week, and let's get to it on SBS Live this week. I get confused with a Yeti quite often, and more than I'd like to admit. So when you see somebody like me coming down the street, okay, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, you know what, everybody's got to be a Chelsea-Lyne fan. It's just the way it's got to go, right? Right.
So goes through my head all the time.
How? I know, right? I mean, it's number one priority. How would you sell that music, though, to maybe somebody like, I don't know, big lumberjack dude? You know, is there a way that that music is going to appeal to this kind of gruff working man thing?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know what your musical preference is necessarily, but assuming that you're open-minded.
Right.
A lot of the stuff that I'm doing more right now has to do with, I don't know, it's a lot more like organic and honest, I guess.
Sure.
So I think that's like accessible to everybody.
Honesty is something that definitely translates to, hey, man, woman, it doesn't matter, right?
In an instrumentation sort of way as well. Everything that I'm sort of doing is more like folk pop, I guess, so it has a little bit more like there's violins and like real drums and guitar, banjo, things like that. I don't know. I think a lumberjack would like a banjo. I don't know. That's just like a judgment call.
Yeah. Well, is it you that's learning these instruments? Is it you that's playing this stuff, or how does that come
I play guitar and piano.
Okay.
But it's more just like people that I'm collaborating with. So right now I'm working with Sam Weber, and he's in a band called River, and he plays with basically just everybody in Victoria. He's a young guy too, he's like 20, he's super talented, but he is also getting into production as well, and he plays like just every instrument basically. And then I got a friend who played violin, Robin Friesen, and so she's on Home, like the recorded version, and Mike Adele actually jumped onto Home as well. He played the banjo on that one, and he sang backup vocals. And then my friend Rob Phillips, he's sort of my drummer.
Right. And this is when you do the live stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, when I do live stuff, it's pretty simple. Like a lot of live shows that tend to be more like acoustic, like me guitar and Rob on drums. And then in the past, I've had people like play bass and stuff as well, and a couple times had violinists come and join as well.
Okay.
But with the recordings, it's a lot easier to get multiple musicians involved in sort of a layered kind of way.
Now, when you're searching for all these new instruments and these new sounds and these new elements to bring to your songs, is there, I mean, you've mentioned banjo, but is there something that you're like, okay, I mean, more cowbell or whatever, like, is there something that you find that you're seeing in your music that you're like, I always seem to need strings or maybe violin? Is there something that you seem to like sounding better in your songs?
I guess it sort of depends. Like, it depends on the track and what it calls for. I mean, typically most of them have guitar in them. That's sort of just like a general sound. That also, because most of them are written on the guitar, so it sort of goes that way. I'm really open to like collaboration. So the people that I'm working with in terms of like producers or musicians that we bring in. I really enjoy when other people contribute to the process as well. So even though I write something and I have sort of like a vision to it, which I'll sort of hone in on if people are going like a little too crazy kind of thing. But I really enjoy when people sort of just throw stuff in. So for example, there's in the track Home that we recorded, my friend Robin, she did all these violin parts, and then I thought, well, I'd really like to have like a straight up just violin like opening section that's sort of like kind of epic. So I got her to just like make up something, and that was like, and then the way that Sam put it together, the cuts were just a lot more interesting. And having Mike come in, he sort of just was like, well, I'll bring my banjo, and like made up a part on the day, you know. So it's kind of,
that could go either way, right? I mean, when somebody says, hey, I'm just going to bring my banjo, I mean, there's some imagery that comes along with that. For your music and what you're doing and the direction it sounds like you're going in, I mean, that's nothing but good news, in my opinion. I think,
especially if you like trust the musicians you're working with, like it's really important to me that I'm sort of working with people who know what they're doing and have like a level of professionalism about them as well. Even though we're all sort of just trying to do whatever it is that we do, but I trust like when they come in that they have valuable ideas, and I really like. Yeah, I really value their input in that way.
So you kind of go beyond than just, you're not just a solo artist. I mean, you're still taking that input, you know what I mean? You're maybe not a band per se, but you value the people that are playing with you, which is huge, right? Because that's going to translate to the people that are watching you. That's going to translate to the people that are helping organize events that you're a part of, right? It's all that kind of community-based stuff. We all know that. You know, I'm thinking again when I've seen you now, I think to myself, one of the first people I ever had on my show was a lady named Chelsea, and you remind me of her completely, and if not in style, but just in sentiment. Very nice people to meet. You can tell that right away, and again, I saw an honesty here today in that music. I love that stuff. You know, that's I think it's missing in a lot of music today, and I'm happy to see that there's independent people out there bringing it back. So, Chelsea, what kind of challenges do you think you're going to face as an independent artist, maybe in these couple years to come? Are we in good shape? Is the scene in good shape? Are we in trouble? Are you here to save it? How can I ask you 10 more questions in a tiny little space here?
Yeah.
I can't.
I don't, I gotta think. It's a good question. Or questions.
Yeah, it's one long sentence. Just do, there it came out. But yeah, as far as like independence go, like, are you finding that there's a lot of artists out there to connect with? Like, are you able to see that there is a scene established and that it's going to continue on throughout the years?
I think there's like there is a pretty strong musical scene, especially like in Victoria. We have a pretty good scene here. There's a lot of musicians, and I don't know if that's just because I hang out with artistic people sort of in general all the time, sort of who I flock to. So it seems like we're like super absorbed in it, but maybe that's just because that's who I'm hanging out with. But there are a lot of musicians, and you know, varying styles of music as well. It sort of crosses over as well to Vancouver. Some of the people here, sort of there's a back and forth there. I'm a visual artist as well, so I study visual art at UVic. I have like a small design business on the side, so poster design and photography as well.
Nothing wrong with having two dreams.
Yeah,
that's okay
this
too,
is a comment I get all the time, like you have to choose. I'm like, but they sort of, in a weird way, they go hand in hand.
They absolutely do. They absolutely do.
Tall grass and the roads that keep me driving on and on. Through the fields where my heart is still and my breath is cold, and the wind is singing softly to my song. prayer is where I lay my head in the tall grass, and the roads that keep me driving on and on, through the fields where my heart is still and my breath is calm, and the wind is singing softly to my soul. It's the place I go. It's where I run to. It's the place that I know. It's where I come from. It's the place that I go. It's where I run to. It's the place that I know. It's where I come from. Where I come Take me home. Take me
Okay, so we'll break this up a little bit. Just wanted to say thank you again to Chelsea-Lyne. Again, that was some incredible music you put in front of me. In comparison to what I had heard, it was just a totally different direction, and I really appreciate what you've done there, especially in the interview as well, just kind of giving some real insight into pop music in general, and kind of helping me understand where you're coming from a little bit more. Awesome to talk to you. Really appreciate your time. So I want to move into Man-Made Lake. This is a band that is 7 pieces big, and we've got 3 of them with us today. But basically, this band, I mean, it ranges in such a musical expanse, but in ideas, and in ideals for how this band is going to go in the future. These guys stick together like one unit. So definitely worth checking out. Unfortunately, we couldn't grab a performance from them, but that doesn't mean that we don't have music for you from Man-Made Lake, so stick around because we do have some of that. So let's get to it. Here's Man-Made Lake on SBS Live this week. Better, not worse. Better, better, not worse. Better, better, not worse. Better.
Man-Made Lake, we are extremely happy to have you on our show, SBS Live this week.
Yeah, what we do.
We're over here on the island with you guys now, and lots of things going on for you guys in right now, right? Like you guys are out there, what, filming videos, playing shows? What is it that you're up to right now? Tell us all about it.
Lots of shows.
Okay.
Lots of big plans. Album-wise,
New album
art-wise, we got some really talented artists providing us with some local art for albums, for promo. Things are looking good.
When it comes to, like, you're saying that you're getting stuff from like local artists, are these people that you guys have known over time, or is this new collaborations that you're finding?
Pretty much new.
Okay.
There's a guy named Tyler Witzel, local artist, and he does a lot of pencil drawings, pencil sketches.
Right.
Extremely detailed, and he's a friend of a friend, and he's yeah.
Now, was there, like, in terms of like the pencil sketches themselves, was that a style that you guys that you'd seen that you were like, okay, this is gonna apply to what we do here in Man-Made Lake?
Yeah, I think that, like, yes and yes and yes and yes.
Okay. I like positivity like that. That's awesome.
And no too in other ways, because I think with anything there's things that work and there's elements that don't work, and I think that Yes, because with Man-Made Lake, we're open to anything and everything that we believe in.
Right.
And local art and local talent and artists we are artists ourselves, so we believe in artists. So, I mean, you know, you got 7 members in a band, and, you know, you'll get the odd member or 2 that like things, and then you'll have other members that don't, and you've got some members that love things and some members that don't love things. So, I mean, we're mostly, like, just open to all art, and, you know, every other aspect of it is up for personal interpretation.
Yeah, I think the one thing with the guys' pencil sketches was, I don't know about everybody, but for me at least, there's a sort of inherent darkness to the music that we make a lot of the time.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it's kind of dark, and the shit that guy makes is like pretty, like, weird stuff.
Okay.
And like, we all saw it, and I mean, maybe 1 or 2 of us don't like it, but a bunch of us were just like immediately connected with it. Definitely seeing that it's very different and weird. Okay. And, like, I think we just really like that.
Now I want to talk about that, because like that, I like. Sorry. For our interview, gentlemen. I want to talk about my first impression and how I kind of came to discover Man-Made Lake and what I saw. Because I think it's always kind of interesting just for you guys to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What the heck is somebody else thinking when they see it for the first time?
I love that.
I jumped in at a week. Okay? Now, that's a brilliant track. But I'm probably not far off the mark here going, is that one maybe a little bit more unique in the catalog of Man-Made Lake?
Yeah.
So, now, when you're thinking about it like that, if you had never met me, if I had never showed up here today, or James hadn't harassed me to be here, you know, would that be a fair representation of the overall picture of Man-Made Lake if I had just clicked that one file?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, because I think one thing that we do a lot is we make every song very different.
Right.
You know, like the way that we treat each song. Like Colin here does most of the writing.
Okay.
But then when he comes to us with songs, we sort of turn them into different kinds of songs, different genres. Right. It's like we have songs that are like doo-wop songs, and like blues songs.
That was the thing that amazed me the most, was honestly to sit there and listen to like 8 songs in a row. I'm getting something different every time.
Yeah. And so I think it's kind of hard to pin us down with one song that's going to completely accurately represent what we do.
Well, of we, it's definitely a certain part of us.
Yeah, I think you can almost sort of look at it like a body. Each body has a different function and reason. Each body part has a different function and reason. And I think each song has a different function and reason with us. And I mean, I would say that any song by Man-Made Lake, from Of We to Livin' on Luck to Freeway to whatever, would be a fair representation of us, because, like you said, when you listen to 8 songs in a row, what we're about is being diversified and different, and giving people something more than just the same song 10 songs long.
Right. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, that's why you appealed to me instant. That's why I was listening to it and going, okay, it's got something for me, because it is different each time.
Yes. And some songs, some people, like we were talking before with the whole artist thing, like some people like certain things and some people don't. Well, that's the same with people in general. Right. You're gonna have people that don't like Of We, but they really like Fiery Wreath or Unkindness, which is a disturbingly thrashy song.
Yeah.
And so
I thought that was one of the more heavy ones that I had found. And then I thought, because I did end up at Fiery Wreath right after that. Yeah. And I thought to myself, okay, now this one's like a perfect blending of those two almost. Right. It's got a lot of fun, but then it hits that hard spot too. And I was like, you guys got something unique though. And I think that, you know,
thank you.
It's sorely missing in music today. And what you said about that combination of art and music, I've been stressing that on my own show for probably about the last 3 to 4 weeks. Like, big time, because it is important, man. This is not being done out there right now. So how do we bring it back? What do we do? How do we fix it? You guys are starting on that path. How do we spread the love?
We spread the love by encouraging other artists to feel free to just release whatever they feel is in their art and stop releasing whatever they think will sell.
Right.
Because, like, sorry Steve, but one thing I will say, I've been into this business now for a very short time, but one thing that every time I talk to somebody about the music business, it's never about, you never hear things like put your soul into it. You know, like you always hear, well, you got to think of all the people that are going to come. How many people can you bring to your shows? How many songs can you sell? How many of this? How many of that? And new artists that are really cool and have open minds are completely bombarded with advice to just focus on what'll make you money and get your name out there.
Right.
And I think if you can be your own ship and you can sail with your own sails, then you're always going to float. And if you're gonna try to rely and hope that you'll have a crutch, then you're always going to need a crutch, and your crutch will be the industry. And for us, the crutch isn't our industry. If the industry wants us, they'll have us. If they don't, they won't have us. But we're never going to stop playing and never stop creating.
Something like that is interesting to me as well, because I'm a big believer that in those values, that's something that we promote through our studio as well, that we might be living at the very end of an old system. Yeah. And I think right now, the world's looking for some current leaders. I think they're looking for some strong voices, for some people that have something to say, to move this to that next level, to get us past this stuff. We saw it with Nirvana a long time ago, right?
Yes.
Is that coming again? Like, is it? Are we almost there again?
I think it's sort of is. I think it started. I think it's already sort of started, because you look at things like the Grammys, which are just like a shit operation, I think.
Right.
But at the same time, they have started to recognize, indie music. Giving Arcade Fire, the album,
huge, right?
Like, that's huge. Like getting an indie artist, Bon Iver, like that's big. Granted, they didn't talk about Shields, the Grizzly album, which is brutal.
Right, yeah,
but,
fair enough.
So, like, I think it is sort of already coming, then that's the whole indie rock movement, I guess. And it's like, strange enough, Jay-Z is the one who said it, that, like, there's so many indie rockers out there doing such good stuff.
It's true, though, yeah.
That it's like,
Jay-Z will make sure that if Grizzly Bear plays in New York, he's got to be at every single show.
That's a real thing? Like that?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay, there's footage of him and Beyonce grooving to Grizzly Bear at a gig. And, of course they had these special seats, but who cares? They still came out, and they were promoting a band that I also agree is an amazing band.
I would have thought that's far outside of their genre too. Like, I would expect them to be listening to Grizzly Bear.
And at the same time, like, you can see that people like Jay-Z, who I really love and respect just because of his ideals, mainly, to see him support that really blew my mind. I remember I went to Sasquatch Fest 2006. Was that the year before you came?
And that was 5. You went in 5 and then 6.
It was all these amazing indie bands, and then suddenly Modest Yahoo and then Kanye West came on.
Right.
And Modest Yahoo's really cool because he's got his own thing. But when I saw Kanye West on stage, I was like, wow.
Right.
I didn't expect Kanye West to come, and he put on a great show.
Yeah.
And he got all the people in there moving, and it was awesome. But I think that people are starting to realize that in today's market, you have to be an individual because there's too many people that are doing the same thing over and over again. Kurt Cobain didn't want to go in every song in the 90s. And yes, I'm sure he was told by people to go sing like that, but he didn't want to. And he just wanted to scream and throw his guitar around and jump into the drum kit because that's what his art was. And he never, they signed with a major record label, but he didn't stop doing what he did. So I think Nirvana is one of those bands that it really taught people how to be individuals.
Right.
I think that whole consciousness of art being made and like being conscious of art being made and all of it being twisted together. Again, you can go with Arcade Fire because they have that. Yeah. They had sort of suburbs, and then they had that crazy video where you could interact.
Oh, wasn't that awesome?
Like go through your own neighborhood.
Loved it.
Shit. Yeah.
Loved it.
Like that right there. That is like the cutting edge.
It's innovation, right?
Mixing all that art together, and it's
right.
You gotta be so conscious of that stuff because it's so good.
Now, I am glad that you brought them up again one more time, though, because there are a lot of similarities, obviously. Yeah. But in terms of, we brought up the Grammys and how awesome it was for them to get one. It was a victory for everybody that night, as far as I was concerned. We were all watching one of the most artistic bands in the world really nail it and bring home the award.
Yeah, I agree.
That being said, you guys are aware of the backlash they got the next day, right? Like, there was like Hollywood conspiracies, like, you know, that this was a rigged event. Yeah. How bullshit is something like that when you've got a band that quality that's doing something that unique, something that, you know, you guys can find yourselves in that same vein going into these same kind of avenues that they're finding themselves in.
That's right.
I mean, if that's going to happen to you at the end of the rainbow, that's kind of like somebody peeing on your award, gentlemen, you know, at the same, and I think, you know, bands that are doing what you guys do, that have that ability to change genres, to not be afraid of that kind of stuff. Again, we need leaders in this. It's just the way it is. I look at this like a battle for the planet, you know, and we need some real strong leaders. So I think what I saw in Man-Made Lake from the last couple of days, just, you know, initial contact of watching these videos and showing my students, my partner Rob, studio partner Rob.
Nice.
That dude's even more stoked than I am.
Wow.
Just because he's actually a bigger fan of the National and other bands that have been similar to you in the past.
Nice.
So it's good to see that. I think you guys are going to appeal to a lot of people based on that really unique style, and the world really needing to hear it right now.
Yeah.
So huge honor, man. Thanks.
Thank you very much for saying that.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, guys, I always tell everybody the same thing. I'm not here to rub nuts. I'm here to push record. That's what I do.
And
I happen to be a guy that has a show now, but at the end of the day, I'm just a music fan. So.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, like really, guys. I think you're pushing the boundaries, and I don't ever want to see that stop. I think there's, like you said, there's too many people that have seen that cap on their potential.
Yeah.
Just limited themselves.
You know, it's funny because I think as well we can go back to Nirvana just so that we can bring something out that I think people forget about Nirvana, and a lot of people love the Unplugged New York and all that stuff, but when you look at the way Nirvana released their albums, they released Bleach because that's all they could afford at the time.
Yeah.
They put out Nevermind. It became this giant phenomenon. But what Kurt did, and what Nirvana, I shouldn't just say Kurt, what the whole band did, that a lot of other bands don't do, is they scaled it back to they realized Nirvana was not exactly what they wanted, and they went back and they recorded In Utero, and they put their blood and their sweat and their true emotions into that album, and again, that was a great example for what artists should feel free to do, and that's just to fully express yourself.
And again, I mean, am I wrong here? This has got to be one of the greatest inside jokes in the world, though. Like, I mean, In Utero, think of the way that album starts at that point that he's at.
Yeah.
Teenage angst has paid off well,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Genius, right?
It is.
Oh, man, I love that.
It's just because he realized that whole scene was what I just said. Like, people are so focused on becoming rich rock stars that those are a lot of the time they forget about how good of a musician they are, or how artistic they really are. I mean, I've seen some talented artists not go down, but get really disheartened because they're not making it,
or just lose that focus. Yeah,
and nobody even really makes it. It's like making. What does making it mean? Like
what is it
to me? To me, making it is being able to do your job. I mean, your art, and be able to sustain life. So pay for your groceries, pay for your life. And I'm not looking to be a millionaire. I'm not looking to become the #1 artist, but I'm looking to be able to afford to go on tour. I want to go. I want to be able to afford to record a record. I want to be able to pay for, to take a bit of time off work to focus on my art. And it, I don't make much money anyway, so. And that's all I want. To me, making it is just being able to do it.
Yeah, I've always said time plus equipment.
Time plus equipment.
That's
Thank
all
you.
I'm looking for.
That's it, man.
You guys agree with that, though? Like,
yeah.
You guys, and just in general, like, you guys as man-made, like, you guys come at things as a unit. Is this a unit of a band? You're 7 members strong. That's a lot of opinions.
Yeah, I mean,
depending on how much coffee's been had,
that fuels
or
creativity. I mean, it's good that everyone has their own opinion and everyone has their own drive, but at the end of the day, our goals are the same.
Right.
Whether people approach it in different ways, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's kind of like our creative process. Like, he's our front man, like he's the guy who's out there singing, writing most of the songs, but like when we come together and like really flesh out a song, we all have ideas, we all say things, but like, always organically goes the way that it just should go. Like, even if it's hard.
Is it the kind of thing where you're like, you've talked about it, and you've talked about it, and you've talked about it, but if you just went and did it, it wouldn't happen?
Well, it's like we talk about it, we do it that way, and then it just switches, and then we do it another way, and what happens is even if it's hard, it's going to go the way that it has to go in the end. Like, I don't want to say fate, because that's such a lame thing to say, but it seems preordained.
We're not overly analytical.
Yeah, we're not overly analytical.
Like, this is how it's gotta be. It just happens.
We don't sit there going over things and like reading in a manual how to write a song and hope that we stay within parameters. Like, when I sit at home and write a lot of these or all these songs, whatever songs, they're just written on how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking and everything. And there's no real real structure I follow. I don't make sure I stay doing this. I don't make sure I stay doing that. And you know, when I bring it, I ask each member to be just as much of a composer as I am. I want Steve to compose his guitars. I want Nate to compose his keys. I want Morgan to compose his drums, and Brent and everybody, Riley, everyone. Compose your aspect.
Right.
I give everyone the chance to be a composer. I always think of like I'm like the skeleton and they're the flesh.
That's a fantastic perspective, man.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, I think, you know, when you look at the bands that have achieved longevity, it's because they've had that respect for their bandmates, right?
Yeah, I do. Every one of them.
You know, I remember an interview I did a very long time ago with Godsmack.
Cool.
I'm not a Godsmack fan. I'll tell you that straight up.
Yeah.
But the difference between the first album and the second album was night and day.
Right.
Okay? Anybody that listened to them both knows that.
Right.
If you look at the liner notes, all of a sudden you see that, hey, guess what? Godsmack wrote the first album. Yeah.
Right.
Sully wrote the second album.
Right.
So I asked these guys, hey, like, how does it feel to, like, are you guys just okay with, like, you used to write as a band and now you're playing into somebody else's vision?
Yeah.
Is that right, or is that even fair to ask of these guys to do that, right?
That's right.
And, you know, I can tell from what you're saying, Colin, that there's no way
I
that would be
can't.
something that you would accept.
You know, I've had a lot of people say to me, you know, Colin, like, why aren't you, like, you know, putting more of an effort into, like, you being, like, the sole musterer of all the creation? And I'm like, because that's not what Man-Made Lake means. And
right.
And that's not what it's about. And that's, a lot of people say, why do you have 7 members? And I'm always like, because I fucking want to.
Right on, man.
Because I don't care if I have 3 members or 10 fucking members.
Right.
I will have whoever I want, if I want them or not in the band, and if these guys want it as well. I mean,
right.
And if you're an artist and you're you're keen and you believe in it and you want to, like these guys are, then I don't care. Like, you know, I get sound guys looking at me like, you kidding me? And I'm like, yeah, well,
right. Or you get
deal with it.
Or you get the people looking at you like, how do you make money as a band because you're 7 pieces big or whatever, right?
And
well,
that whole aspect will unravel when it comes. When that day comes where we have to worry about that, which, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a little worried day someday about that.
Hey, that's never a bad worry to have, that's for sure, yeah.
But I definitely will say that, you know, I see these guys just as equal as I am, and I couldn't do it without them, and I just see this as a 7-way belief system here, that we believe in the original. Like, we all listen to fairly similar artists and very different artists. Right. We all have so many, you know, emotions and feelings towards music that, you know, Nate and I, when we were in high school, I mean, when we would be either, you know, driving around getting stoned on top of Mount Doug, or we'd be sitting playing piano, hanging around singing and playing piano at lunch hour. We weren't hanging out in the other groups.
Listening to rap in my parents' Mustang.
Yeah, listening to hip hop.
That was the other pastime. Yeah.
You know, like we just sort of musically, we've always kind of connected, and we've always moved at our own beat, so to speak. So yeah.
So tie it all in for me, guys, and then we'll let you in out of the cold. But like, give me an idea. Where is this going? Is there a plan? Like, do you guys have a defined path that you're trying to take?
The plan is like world domination, essentially.
Okay.
It's essentially that we want to, you know, be recognized and, you know, play as many places as we can.
Yeah.
As long as we can.
Just want to be
make
loved.
as much good music. You know, we just want to be loved.
Just want the love.
And I mean,
you gotta get in there and give these guys a hug. I mean, that's what it sounds like these guys need. Are we doing a camera war again?
I will say one thing that we will sort of, and I'd like to let the world know when they ask us that question, is mindfulness. I want us to be mindful. I want us to focus on what we're dealing with now. And you know, like,
you mean as a band or as
a band, as goals, as and when I say now, I don't mean like sitting here talking to you guys now. I just mean like going on tour, finishing our record, and practicing as much as we can to become as good as we can, and how we feel is good for what we want to do, you know. And so
dedication to the craft.
That's
right?
it. I think the long-term goal is to try to achieve some form of sustainability with our band. to be able to do more with each other. And like, we all work full-time jobs pretty much. Some of us are students.
Sure. Yeah.
We don't mind doing that because you have to, but it would be nice, because we all love music so much, to be able to make that our jobs.
Just straight dedicate
our time to music.
Absolutely.
We even have girls and wives who are so supportive with everything we do, and they are just at every show, and they believe in us. And, you know, also with them, our future is, you know, being like a family. Like, we all get together and we hang out and we have food and we do things. And, you know, the future is more than just being a successful band. It's also becoming a better family.
Right.
And that's a big part of it.
Colin, with that attitude, brother, you guys are going to get there. There's no question about it.
Thank you so much.
This guy's going to make sure that I absolutely see you guys again. Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
Nate, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You guys, man. I really do appreciate the time. And again, I really do think that you guys have that real potential to be those leaders. So you remember that when you're out there and using that voice, because you guys have the ability to do it, because you're doing something unique and people will pay attention. So
that means so much to hear, and shake your hand again, because that's a lovely thing to hear.
You know, it's all real. So thank you very much. And I will absolutely be harassing this guy to bring you somehow to my garage. And
you're in Abbotsford?
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
well, we're looking to play in Vancouver.
Welcome to Rock the Woods.
love that video. I love that song. I love how it looks like it was made. Rock of the Woods by Man-Made Lake is a very cool track. You can see them just smashing and beating on things right in their own home or musical lair, wherever that is. It's a cool place, and I want to hang out there one day. So here brings us to the end of the story with Carrie Jane. This is a singer-songwriter and somebody with some real heart, so I think you'll appreciate what she's got to say, and definitely stick around for an acoustic performance from Carrie Jane at the end of this on SBS Live this week.
I'm excited to talk to you, that I know something about you, that I think we share in common, and I've been dying. James knows this. James knows that I've been dying to talk to you all day. Really? Out of the 5 artists that I've had, believe it or not, you know, maybe musically it's not what I would normally listen to, I'll be honest with you there, okay? I do still listen to it, but it might not be what I would normally gravitate to. Maybe I'm more of a rock guy or something. But I'm very interested in people that have something to say, and I'm very interested in people that haven't said anything or had the opportunity to say as much as some other people have. So, that being said, all the saying stuff. I look at your bio, I've got one major thing. Music, somewhere along the lines, somewhere in that bio of yours, and I don't know how this fits in, so I want to find out. Apparently, you're looking at music in like a survival aspect at this point. Like this has really kind of brought you maybe back from, I don't know, a darker place, or it's rescued you somehow. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, yeah.
So tell me about that. You don't have to give me the personal. I'm not looking to Star Magazine yet, but maybe tell me something about that positive effect that you found through music, and how has it rescued you?
Well, you know, when I think of singing and I think of my life, I think that it's always been there. Okay. And I feel that over the last few years, definitely the last 10 years, it's really been, I brought it back in my life when it was absent. I guess I could say that. Honestly, there were a few years where I struggled with some things, and just a busy life, and I found that I wanted to sing again, and it was important to me. So I decided to, you know, and then I decided to learn to play guitar, which was a whole other world. So how long has that been? Let's see, I would say I've been playing for between 5 and 7 years, probably closer to 5, but I did try it briefly in my 20s. I just struggled a lot with it, so I put it aside. And, mind if I ask you what you were trying to learn during that time? Like what was it that like frustrated you? What was just it? Just the chord shapes really frustrated me. I like moving from bar chords or to any chord. In fact, 5 years ago, learning to play guitar, I thought, I had a love-hate relationship with it. Yeah. I would learn like the F chord, and it would take me forever, and learn this chord, and I would just push myself through it. Now that isn't the savior that it was. There was a bit of that I loved the challenge of learning it eventually, because when you finally get to complement my voice, that was the plan, right? Okay, yeah. And that became that pulled me out of troubles in my life. It gave me something to look at, and it gave me an outlet. Yeah. It's something like a purpose, you know? Yeah. Like, I know for myself, and this is why I say we have this in common, okay? Because in probably my last year, most chaotic year I've ever had myself. Just basically quit my last job willy-nilly and said, I can't do that anymore, not knowing what I was going to do. Now, I know that musically, this whole community, meeting people just like yourself, Carrie, that's exactly why I do this now. I do this because there's people out there like you that have a strong voice, have a point of view, have something to say. Maybe not everybody's hearing it, and I'm not going to get the rest of the world hearing it, but from my little tiny garage, I'm going to scream my face off for you and do what I can, because
I can see that there's you can see that. I know that the viewers are going to see that. That's an honesty there that's on display in both of you. And I think that the farther you go up the chain in terms of music, the bigger names you meet, the less of that you'll find. And I think that's the important thing to, if you're going to take anything from this, Gary, and something from this experience, just don't lose that. You've got something there that is genuine, and it's difficult to hold on to. So I guess my question is, because I care and I'm invested now, I want to know, how are you going to protect that over time? Like, how do you keep your music yours without it being influenced too much by, I don't know, anything, the world, producers, time? I mean, how do you keep it yours?
Well, I definitely think of writing as art, for sure. And when I do it, I saw this interview with Alanis Morissette, and she was saying she never throws anything out. She keeps all of her writings, every little piece. And that's something I did, and I found that I loved that. I really took that because it just, I found that no matter what I did, a year later, a month later, anytime, I would be able to connect everything somehow. Right. And I write from a very emotional, I am a very emotional person. Okay. And I find sometimes when I write the lyrics, like it'll just come out like a flood, right? Right. And then with that I find music, or it comes together. So, and then bits and pieces, sometimes I'll do that too. Right. So writing is really fun, but it's also I actually would love to challenge myself and write. I would love to write a story, like a folk story. That's what I'm going to do sometime this year.
You mean kind of bring yourself out of it a little bit? And I've struggled with that same thing. I know exactly what you're talking about there. And it's hard, because I think, again, when you have a point of view, when you have something to say, when music means that much to you, you're going to put yourself in. And to almost look at it again and go, okay, I love the idea, but how do I subtract myself out of it? That's where I would say definitely be careful, because again, what I saw there was awesome. That whole honesty in that performance is really what's going to count. And I've said this to all my acts, all the people that we've worked with in Vancouver, that if you're going to win the battle on any stage, if you're going to win the battle in front of any crowd, the more you believe, the more they believe. And that's really part and parcel of the way it goes. So I think you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Confidence is coming to you now. Is that fair to say? Like, I think that you have a real shot at becoming a very strong person through your music.
I just want to, how I view myself, I definitely want to perform strong, and I want to, mine is about the performance. I want to do the best performance I can and play anywhere I can. Right. I'd love to play like Europe or something like that. And it doesn't have to be like I can't really picture more than what I'm doing. Right. I can't really picture that. But
you mean like to have another band member?
Or a bigger audience or anything like that. I really just love playing and seeing what happens. It's really just an adventure.
Well, if you treat it like that, though, it stays that.
I'll keep
that honesty. That's right. I don't know if you meant to answer my question, but damn, did you do it? That's awesome. Yes, you certainly did. I haven't asked a single person here all day. I've been on the island all day long. It is only fair that I get a complete perspective. What is the best part of where we're at right now? I'm looking at a lot of beautiful stuff, but I don't really know a lot about it. Is there something?
Victoria? Oh, Victoria's great. When I first moved here, I remember it was Jazz Fest. Okay. June. Good start. June or July. And I walked down Government Street, and we went for coffee or something. There's all this music, and we didn't realize it was Jazz Fest at first. Okay. And I guess it was a little smaller, gosh, was it 17 years ago? Something like that.
But you're like walking around and the music just playing, and you're like,
everywhere.
My city comes with a soundtrack? That's pretty awesome.
That's really awesome. And then it just, once we realized it was Jazz Fest, and all summer, like we lived downtown, so all down Government, there were just bands everywhere, buskers, and jugglers. The city just comes to life.
Real culture, right?
Yeah, a lot of culture. And I have to say I've been bad. I haven't been to Vancouver. I did grow up there a bit,
right?
So I haven't really seen the what they have to offer, and I'm definitely going to go over.
Like I said, there's a lot of beautiful buildings around here, and I'm very happy to see all this wonderful scenery. Have you seen this? Have you seen your city change over time? Like, is it heading in the right direction? Is it, how about musically even? Like, do you see a tight-knit scene here? Is there artists that are supporting each other?
I think, it's new to me. I'm just getting involved. Yeah. And I've always liked to be part of the scene. I'm working with James Casper and his studio. Yeah. Watergun Records. Yeah. And all that stuff. And he's helping me with promoting, and just a great guy, and he's really in tune with a lot of things. And so it's just it's all new, so I'm just really enjoying it and looking forward to seeing that culture.
I just want everybody to see for 1 second, because I do think it's important. That was honest, first of all. That is exactly the truth, because I've spent this entire day with the guy. But you do need to see for yourself that there is, in fact, no gun to her head and no blue water guns. It's all good.
No blue water guns whatsoever.
So she said that honestly, and I think that's important for people to know. Carrie, what is it that's going to make you want to continue doing this for the rest of your life? Now that you're here, now that you've decided to pull that switch and say, okay, I'm going to take a stab at this. I'm going to try this out. And clearly you have skills, you have songwriting ability. So what would hold you back? Can things hold you back?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I love that answer. Love it.
I want to play till I'm as old as I can.
Okay. So the strategy is pretty much you're just out there, like, what's a day in the life? Are you practicing all the time? We've got an album coming out. Like,
I do actually have an album coming out.
I love this kind of news. I love it. Okay. Do we have a title, or do we have any details?
Well, there's, I'm humming and hawing on the title, but it's been a really great process. I'm working with Eric Hogg from Soma Sound Studios, and he's a really patient person. Yeah. I have a thing with metronomes.
Oh, sure. Playing to click track?
Yes.
It's hard.
It's really
especially when you're first starting out to make that jump into professional recording. That's all they want from you, right? Yeah. They're looking at you like, okay, if you're getting in there without a click, guess what? I'm going to stand there chewing gum and popping bubbles because you're going to hear one. And it's bad. I want you to understand. I've talked to hundreds of bands, and there's nobody out there that I know of that doesn't feel exactly the same way that you do.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. You need to understand these things. You are part of this now. You are feeling what other people feel, okay? A great friend of ours through our studio, a guy named Tyler from the Pit. He's a fantastic drummer, and then he is that rock guy, so he's got a lot going on. He looks like 8 arms on stage kind of thing. But absolutely in that same vein, just really trying to start it out, trying to figure out how he fits into the whole thing, and knowing that that chance exists just through the way you guys are. So there's a lot of ways you guys can take these things, a lot of ways that the independent artists can really be represented today. And I think that the more conscious you are of it, it sounds like you are, you understand what you already knew right away. We'll go into the first performance, we liked it, but we decided to use the second one because we liked it even more, right? But at the end of the day, you knew what the reasons were as to why that was yourself. And the more you know about your own music, the more you know your own strengths, you're going to be able to rely on those more as your songwriting goes. It's just going to get better over time. That I can promise you. So, well, the other thing I can say, and I'll cut the second one of these that I say just for this guy, otherwise he'll start accusing me of just kissing ass here. But he sent me five bands.
Okay.
I came over here to do 5 of these today.
Yes, you did.
I'm exhausted. My tongue is sore, but that's cool. And I have to say, 5 out of 5. So that's no BS. That's the real. He sent me 5 acts, and from what I can see now that I've officially heard you, 5 out of 5 in terms of what he's shown me in the first 5 acts that he's shown me. So I think, in terms of your management and in terms of guidance that you're going to get in this next little while, I'm pretty damn confident. I'm pretty damn confident after seeing you perform, hearing what you have to say, knowing that you're working with some good people. I don't see how people like yourself don't get there at the end. It doesn't make sense to me mathematically. So I want to hear more from you. I hope you keep in touch with us, and I absolutely thank you for this time. I've been on the other side, and I've had my first interview. I don't know if I ever,
This is my coolest first interview.
There's no words, and honestly, it's just as much of an honor on this side to be that person now for you, as it was exciting for me to be that person. So I don't know what else to say. I really appreciate you taking the time. Likewise. I know it's not the last we've heard of you, Carrie, so James will make sure of that. You'll make sure of that through the music, and the people will make sure by listening. So we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
SBS.
When I can't
Just a huge thank you to everybody that was with us in the interviews from the island, and a huge thank you to you, James, for arranging everything. Again, very fantastic to meet you. Glad we got that beer in at the end of this day. I know we were planning on having that at 1 p.m., so maybe it's better we waited anyway. But huge thank you to Chelsea-Lyne, to Man-Made Lake, and of course to Carrie Jane. Let's not forget the two bands from part 1, This Day Burns, and of course Kyle Truelove as well. For being with us here on SBS Live this week. Once again, very fantastic to have met you all. I thank you all for your time. Next week we're going to do something special. We're just going to kind of mix it up a little bit. We're probably going to bring you an all-music episode. We haven't really decided yet. But whatever it is we bring you, whatever it is you see, there will be unique stuff you haven't seen before, new musical footage, and of course a bunch of me talking again. So in the meantime, until we see you next time, check out what James Casper's doing at jamescasper.com and find out what's going on with the Vancouver Island Music Awards, because they are coming up soon. Check into all these great bands, This Day Burns, Man-Made Lake. Check into these great solo artists like Chelsea-Lyne, Carrie Jane, and of course Kyle Truelove. That's all I've got for this week. We'll see you next time. SBS Live this week at Sleepingbag Studios.